Yeah.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, can you close the door, please?
Does that mean she's not coming in?
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to everyone. This is our 33rd meeting of the Statewide Commission on Recycling Markets and Curbside Recycling. Our last meeting of 2021 to finalize our letter to CalRecycle and the legislature and our advice regarding the tasks we've been given. And we plan to meet today until 11. Hopefully we can wrap it up a little bit early so that everybody can get on with their holiday season. And I just want to thank all the commissioners again for all the hard work. So we'll go ahead and start with a roll call. And I think I can just see who is here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got a quorum because we're at 16 now, so all we need is 9. So we'll go ahead, unless anybody wants to do it individually, we can expedite this and move on. But we have established a quorum. We are missing Commissioner Bouchard today. He was called to a meeting he cannot miss, so he has sent his apologies. So now we've established a quorum, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 2, which is review and potential approval of the meeting notes from our commission meeting on December 1st. Are there any commissioners that would like to discuss the meeting minutes, make any changes, or do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Very good, Commissioner Segura and Commissioner Ward. All those in favor, thumbs up or an aye. Very good. Is there anyone who is opposed? Seeing none, the meeting minutes are approved. Thank you very much. We will now move on quickly to agenda item number 3, which is our public comment review for items not on the agenda. CalRecycle, can you share any comments we might have received in the last 24 hours or items not on the agenda?
Yes, there's one comment from Pre-Zero USA to read.
Okay.
So this is a long comment, so this whole thing has been published, and I will read the 150 words. As I said, it's from Pre-Zero US regarding the response to commissioners' comments in the November 3rd, 2021 statewide commission meeting with reference to Pre-Zero US reclamation and use of post-consumer films and mention of SB 270, California Bags Bill, statute language regarding post-consumer resin PCR certification in polyethylene reusable bags. Company brief. Pre-Zero entered the U.S. market in 2018 and is part of the International Pre-Zero Group, which is also a player in the European recycling and disposal market. Pre-Zero positions itself as an innovation driver in the industry with the goal of creating a world in which resources are no longer wasted thanks to closed loop. Zero waste, 100% reusable material. As a result of expansion efforts, Pre-Zero is now operational in 9 countries with around 30,000 employees at 430 locations. The services arm of Pre-Zero US specializes in providing recycling solutions for plastic and organic waste originating from commercial businesses. Additionally, Pre-Zero US packaging, and that's the end of the 150 words. And again, there's a lot more text that has been published.
Are there any other public comments?
That is it at this time.
Very good, thank you. And Commissioner Schneider, did you wish to speak?
Hey, thank you, Chair. Wasn't sure how to bring this up. In just a few days ago, the San Jose Police Department did a huge sting on a problem that's been happening in the Bay Area, which is the theft of catalytic converters from cars. And they've been studying it. They've been trying to get the whole ring. They found a good number of the people. And again, it is recycling industry that is accepting these catalytic converters, possibly in the used car part area. And I don't know if this commission has bandwidth, maybe it'll be for next year or next fiscal year, to look at recycling centers' acceptance of stolen items on that. Very painful in the greater Bay Area. This sting actually created was accepting catalytic converters from all over the Bay Area on that. And it's just something that hurt a lot of my people.
Yeah,
Why
this
should
would
it
be brought up
directly
under
attend?
agenda item 6, because this would be about next meeting and agenda items, I think.
Okay.
But I definitely hear you, and I think this is a bigger issue. It's not just catalytic converters. I can remember when it was manhole covers and other things, so maybe that's something we should talk about agendizing then for next year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Very good. So if there's no other public comments, I think we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3. I'm sorry, number 4, which is the meat of our meeting today, and that is the review of our draft letter to be sent to CalRecycle and the legislature with our updated policies and new policies, and then finalizing the last few policies that we have not fully adopted yet. So I'll go ahead now, and we have posted the draft letter. It is under the final policy advice letter and attachments in the Google Drive. It is attachment number 1 as the draft cover letter. So if we could have Commissioner Ward maybe pull that up, and we can look at it live and make any edits live. And of course, I wouldn't want to finalize this until after we get through all our policies, because we need to make sure we're including all the final policies that are adopted, and we're not sure if all of them will be adopted today until we do it. Thank you very much, Commissioner Ward. So I guess first I'd like to start with, if anybody has read the letter and has some suggestions or changes or concerns about the general context of the letter and what is in it, please put your star asterisks in the chat and we will call on you. Otherwise, I would recommend that we actually go through this almost word for word to make sure everybody is really clear on what's in it. Okay, so that kind of tells me you've all read it and you're okay with it, so that's great. I guess, just quickly, Commissioner Ward, do you want to just quickly go a quick review just to make sure everybody's clear of what's in it and for the audience? Oh, I'm sorry.
This is a simple cover letter. The work of the commission really focuses on the policies and the updates of the policies. And so the previous report we did in July gave a real good overview of the development of solid waste and recycling legislation in California and how the policy recommendations fit into those. And since we've already done that, this cover letter basically introduces the new policies that we've discussed in the last 6 months and adopted, and the policies that were revised. And so it really cuts to the quick, but we also include in there appreciation for the great legislative successes that we've had in the last year. So that's the overview. There's a paragraph giving an overview of the new policies. There's another paragraph giving an overview of the policies that have been revised. But we want this to be as clear as possible. And one thing that I was thinking about, we probably want to highlight in there is the consensus process of the committee, because that is somewhat unusual.
Especially to have this many agreements. Where would you like to put that? I think that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, let's just go paragraph by paragraph, and I appreciate everybody's contributions on this. And you want to read aloud? Shall I read aloud, and anybody just chime in when we're...
I think we just go through it real quick.
Greetings from the 16 volunteer appointees of the Statewide Commission on Recycling Markets and Curbside Recycling. It has been my privilege to chair this commission since we were appointed and began meeting in July 2020. This commission was appointed under AB 1583, Eggman, providing advice to CalRecycle, the legislature, and other entities regarding policy proposals and suggestions relating to California's ambitious recycling and organics materials recovery goals from the perspective of professionals working in many aspects of the complicated materials management industry. Okay. Comments on that?
Not going to see a comment.
Right. I'll wait for you to highlight chat comments. The Commission issued preliminary policy recommendations in December of 2020 and required annual report in July 2021 with policy and program recommendations to achieve our source reduction, market development, greenhouse gas reduction, and recycling goals. The Commission was delighted by multiple legislative efforts and laws passed in 2021 that directly addressed or responded to Commission recommendations, including AJR 4, Garcia, AB 343, Allen. Go ahead.
That's SB 343. That's why we're
Thank
reading
you.
it out loud. We can't even see our own mistakes anymore. Thank you.
Good, thank you. AB 881, Gonzalez, AB 962, Comlager, AB 1201, King, and AB 1311, Wood. The Commission also appreciates the introduction of the related two-year bills, including AB 661. Any changes on that?
We do have Commissioner Usagura. He said the change complicated to complex.
Oh,
Where does it say complicated? And we can say complex.
right.
The first
Complex.
paragraph, it says, I mean, just find it. It says complicated, but I think it's complex materials management,
Yeah.
right?
And I actually kind of want to add discard because, well,
Yeah.
that's mostly what we deal with.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, moving on to the next paragraph.
Yep.
The documents attached to this letter include 5 new policy recommendations and 4 updates to policy recommendations from our report. Policy recommendations, I'm tempted to add right there, each of these policy recommendations has been adopted by consensus, by a unanimous consensus.
Yeah, that's excellent. That would be good to highlight. It's hard for people to believe, so it's good to say it.
You know, Heidi, more people should believe that we can get to consensus of things in this country. So I want to highlight that. We can get to good policy if we have consensus and work together.
Totally agree. This is setting a really good example. Each of these policies. I think we should bold unanimous consensus, maybe
Okay.
votes of all the commissioners.
By unanimous consensus votes.
Is that right? Of all the
Yeah.
commis-
You want that bold?
Yeah, I want to highlight it.
Okay.
So you see it. Thank you.
Folks all okay with that? All right, moving on. Our policy recommendations suggest ways to recycle.
Heidi, I'm sorry. Heidi, I'm sorry. On the, I was muted. I don't think we voted. So consensus means we achieved consensus, but we didn't really vote.
That on some of them, that's true. We didn't actually have a raising of hands. We just had no objections and everybody was on.
Yeah. Because we didn't record votes. I don't know.
Well, they
on
were
some.
roll call votes, but we voted. Everybody was there and voted yes. We didn't do a roll call vote, but I'm fine. That's totally fine. And again, please use the chat for your comments.
Okay, we're good. Okay, our policy recommendations suggest ways CalRecycle could support outreach to prevent waste and reduce contamination and recovery streams, and how CalRecycle could affirm some of the projected reduction in greenhouse gas emissions associated with composting and anaerobic facility. I can actually see that we used that abbreviation before we defined it, so I need to do that up above.
Yep. Exactly why we're doing this.
Oops, hello. Undo.
Perfect.
And
Yes, if we only had an editor.
some of the projected reduction in greenhouse gas emissions associated with composting or anaerobic digestion facilities. Recommendations address the need for enforcement of existing laws related to labeling and recyclability of film plastics and how thermoform and wine and liquor bottles could be managed in California's bottle bills. At this point, I want to highlight that Jandel, who's worked on these issues much more, emphasizes that labeling should just have one L. I occasionally drop two L's, so if you find that, please let me know and I'll. Any other comments?
No comments.
Okay. There are also 4 policies which have been updated based on new information and further discussion. We remain concerned about fires, and policy recommendations to extend producer responsibilities for products managed as household hazardous waste are even more focused on products that are suspected flammability and explosive hazards. We encourage CalRecycle to quantify how the benefits of carbon farming, GHG sequestration through the application of compost products, can be considered during environmental reviews. We updated our right to repair policy regarding labeling and product repair and to reflect new information from the Federal Trade Commission and Apple supporting consumer repair.
Can we go back to the previous paragraph? The sentence that our suspected flammability just doesn't sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to dance around. We're not directly pointing fingers saying we know this is the source of this fire. So that was pretty much
Okay.
Possible. Open to edits.
I think it's just the suspected to be flammable might do it.
Or to flammability, I guess, or.
Oh, well, Commissioner Sky?
Hazards already implies that it's potential. So I don't think suspected is needed. I think if you say.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I was thinking that same thing, Commissioner Sky, because it's already labeled flammable.
There you go. That work?
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate all edits. You'll have really good minds. Thank you.
You know, Ted, you might even take the word out, the word even out.
Okay.
Wastes are more focused, you know, hazardous wastes are more focused. The even, you don't need that. I don't
Yeah, got you. Okay.
Yeah, that's clear.
There, I think that reads better. There you go.
Good. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so we encourage CalRecycle environmental reviews. Are you going to keep reading?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'll read that paragraph again. There are also 4 policies which have been updated based on new information and further discussion. We remain concerned about fires, and policy recommendations to extend producer responsibilities for products managed as household hazardous waste are more focused on products that are flammable or explosive hazards. We encourage CalRecycle to quantify how the benefits of carbon farming, GHG sequestration through the application of compost products can be considered during environmental reviews. We updated our right to repair policy regarding labeling and product repair and to reflect new information from the Federal Trade Commission and Apple supporting consumer repair. I'm quite proud of the extraordinary effort.
Hold it. Can we go back? I mean, I'm just wondering,
Yes.
do you want to say consumer repair or right to repair or right for consumer? Because I just want to keep calling it the same thing.
John?
Consumer's right to repair?
Yes,
Okay.
I like. I've heard that there will be a bill drop this year on this issue, so I just want to be crystal clear.
Well, I don't want to characterize Apple's support of consumers' right to repair.
Right.
That's why
They didn't really.
Yeah, but they are supporting repair, so little different.
How about supporting repair by consumers?
Yeah, or supporting repair, yeah, by consumers.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
That's accurate.
Okay.
Repair by consumers. So you would add by consumers?
I like it leaving it there because it can be.
Well, no, they support repair, but now they're supporting repair by consumers. That's
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is by consumers is the issue. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. I'm quite proud of the extraordinary effort and time commit efforts. and time commitment this commission has made in the last 18 months to recommend ways to improve California's recycling and composting programs and infrastructure. The commission is heartened that some of our key recommendations have become law in just this first year. We look forward to finding ways to build on this partnership as we continue to advise CalRecycle and the legislature about the best ways to continue California's leadership in waste prevention, recycling, composting, and conservation.
I like
If you wish
that.
to- If you wish to have a more detailed briefing, please feel free to contact me at heidi@nsaction.us. Sincerely. And then we list the policies and they have hotlines.
I thought it would be a good idea to say at the end, you know, if you'd like a briefing, because we've been trying to get a more organized briefing with the staff. We've discussed this before and it's never happened. We can try it again, but you know, it's COVID, we're coming out of release and then we're back into COVID and it's back and forth. And now they're moving to another building, which is making it complicated. So I've talked to a couple of the legislative staff and I'm thinking about we're trying to do it again in January. So I'll keep the Vice Chair informed of that if it happens so we can do that. But I also just wanted to leave it open that if they could contact me and then I could work with Commissioner Vice Chair to brief them if they would like a private briefing. Okay.
Is
Well,
there any
good.
benefit in broadening that discussion to specifically say we can do that for the legislature, the governor's office, or CalRecycle?
A briefing?
Yeah.
Well, we can, a detailed briefing, if this is sent to CalRecycle and all the legislative staff, it applies to anybody. So I think we're okay. Well, why don't we hold this? This is nice. I'm glad we went through it that way and now we're all clear because the attached proposals are going to potentially change if we don't approve them all today. So let's go ahead and move on to our approval of the policies. And the first one I believe that we needed to get to we have the staff here from CalRecycle from 8:30 until 9:30 and about the bottle bill. So any questions about the bottle bill? I'd like to, before they join us at 8:30, I think we should start with the bottle bill just to make sure we make the best use of their time. I just want to highlight that we were given several documents. One is the Quality Incentive Payment Program notice that went out from CalRecycle December 3rd. That is posted in the Google document. I believe it's also posted on the CalRecycle page. And this is basically saying effective September 23rd of this year. The CalRecycle can spend $10 million of the bottle bill money to provide quality incentive payments to curbside recycling programs to increase the sorting and separation of clean loads of PET containers. And beginning in July of this year, CalRecycle can make these quality incentive payments for PET containers where the maximum contamination rate is 2% of PET thermoform containers and other contaminants. So this should help with and temporarily getting more thermoforms out of the bales and into recycling, but this is not a permanent program. This is just the $10 million. $10 million is what they have assigned right now. So there's still a larger fix needed. And I guess I just wanted to bring that up first for any comments or questions because we are going to talk about the thermoform policy and the glass policy or the wine and spirits. Maybe you have comments on this? Okay.
The other thing is I thought that in terms of those policies that we had discussed that there was significant changes to those documents that we would need more time and those wouldn't be part of this report going out. So I thought that was a discussion from last time.
That my understanding, maybe I got it wrong, was that we were not going to approve it at that meeting because there have been too many changes, but at that meeting, those proposals were out there. If the commission wanted its second hearing today, unless it's changed a lot again, but that's up for commission discussion for sure.
Okay.
Any thoughts on?
The thing is, my recollection was this was going to be moved till next year to have further and deeper discussion. So
Okay,
I'll wait to see what is in the documents.
okay. Okay. And then the other item that was given to us by CalRecycle was regarding data request on beverage dealers exempted from SB 155, sorted by county. And we were given that is posted as well, and it's got a lot of data on the count of the beverage dealers that are exempted by county. I was shocked LA County has 688. That's a lot. Is there any questions on that? Okay. Then I would also say maybe what we go ahead and do then is pull up the updated or the new policy proposals that we said we would take up. And Commissioner Ward, I'm looking for my list. Too many pieces of paper here. I think we decided the first one. There's the one, we should start with the beverage containers. So I think that was going to be the thermoforms and then wine and spirits. While we have the CalRecycle staff, they should be here in 4 minutes. So maybe we just start discussing these and then we can hear from CalRecycle and ask them any questions, if that's okay with commissioners. So Commissioner Davis, do you want to go ahead and review the thermoforms policy? And then I guess if we don't want to adopt it today, and this is not something, again, that was agreed on, then we'll move it to the next.
Yeah, if you want to scroll down, I think this is essentially the same policy you saw last time.
I'm sorry, can you expand your screen so we don't see all the beautiful stars?
Not on the screen.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, this is essentially the same policy we saw last time. I think the issue that perhaps Commissioner Oseguera was alluding to is on, you're going too fast here. There. So the specific proposal under 6 and 7 that, so if you recall, there's a couple issues with thermoforms. CalRecycle no longer does individual commingled rate studies, so MRFs that are separating thermoforms are being paid at the statewide commingled rate that includes thermoforms in the as a non-CRV material. So the approach would be to either establish a statewide rate, what the proposal calls a bale statewide commingled rate for bales that are free of thermoforms, where the thermoforms have been otherwise recovered. That's very similar to the quality incentive payment that you have in front of you, which allows, I think, limits it to 2% thermoforms and other contamination, pretty strict. We may want to comment on that. But the other option then that is presented here on 6 and 7 is to change the commingle rate basis for shipped material rather than incoming loads. And that is, in fact, what's done for the quality incentive payments. The other proposal on number 7 is to begin setting MRF-specific commingled rates reflecting facility performance. So again, very similar to what's in the QIP for thermoforms. I have to note that Commissioner Donlevy was the one who moved to insert that language. I see him in the meeting now. But generally, what's proposed here on both 6 and 7 is essentially what's being done on the quality incentive payment. So, and that I don't think we knew that last time. So the clarification of the QIP process in relation to number 6 and 7 is included.
Okay.
Otherwise, essentially the same. Otherwise, as you saw last time. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Segura.
Yeah, this is exactly the item that I'm still, the board isn't concerned. I mean, I think there was significant change to this document to where this is truly for me as a first reading. I think, you know, a number of commissioners voiced concern regarding, you know, this document and having more time to discuss it and work on it. And my understanding was that this was going to be looked at till next time. And so at this point, I cannot provide support until I have more time to digest this.
Okay, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I guess I think this needs a deeper dive, maybe outside of the full commission with a few of the people who are really interested in this, and that could bring it back. Is there interest in forming a subcommittee that can meet in January to address this issue? Because it seems like it's not going away. And without the commission providing any advice to the legislature, I'm just worried that it'll be a miss for us to help on this.
Yeah, I think I'd be willing to do it. I think Commissioner Kalpakoff will look at that as well. And so definitely, I think I'm raising my hand, but I'm raising Commissioner Kalpakoff because I know he raised some concerns regarding it as well. So.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Oseguera. I appreciate that.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So, Commissioner Davis, you and I'm wondering if there's anybody else who'd be interested in this. So if you and I meet with Commissioners Oseguera and Kalpakoff, we could have schedule a separate meeting in January early to start discussing this in depth. And in public, we'd have to schedule a meeting here today so that we could do it.
I guess I would ask Commissioner Donlevy if he wanted to be a part
and
of it.
Donlevy, I'm sorry. Yes, of course. So that would be 5 of us. Is there anybody else who would be interested in this? This seems to be just a very big issue coming up everywhere, and there's lots of people.
I'm happy to join, Heidi. This is Laura. I'm happy to join.
Great. So we have 6. Commissioner.
And this is Nick. If there's room, I'd love to join too.
Okay, Commissioner Lapis. So we got 7. So this is subgroup very specific to this PET, issue, thermoforms, and the commingled rate for the bottle bill. Okay, so there's 7 of us. I would suggest at the end of the meeting when we schedule future meetings, we've now got a new subcommittee. So that's the first and only subcommittee going into 2022 at this point to just resolve this one issue going into the next legislative season. So we'll go ahead.
I would think we'd want to have some CalRecycle participation.
It has to be CalRecycle participation. It's going to be publicly noticed.
No, I mean, from the, the guidance on kind of existing practices, the QIP.
Right. Well, we can set the agenda.
Yeah.
We'll put that on the next meeting then for the new bottle bill, T-forms, contamination subcommittee. We'll figure out the name and everything. So we've got 7 commissioners. Thank you very much. So we'll put pause on this item. This will not be then in our letter. So we will remove that, Commissioner Ward.
Working on it now.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that is not a new policy proposal. And then we'll go ahead and move on to, and I want to thank everybody who did work on this. It's super important and your work will not be for naught. We will just get to it in January. The next one would be the wine and spirits, because that is also for the bottle bill, and we should have our CalRecycle staff from the bottle bill section here with us now. And who was the lead on wine and spirits?
It was Mr. Donlevy.
Commissioner Donlevy, do you want to go through this?
Oh, I mean, if Commissioner Davis would like to take the lead, that would be great. I chimed in. As I said before, it's great working with him because he does the yeoman's work. Lots of work done. So,
is this can we see the track changes? Ted, do you have that? Might be easier for you. If you recall, at the last meeting, there was, I think, a consensus that rather than offer an opportunity to wine and spirits to come up with their own program, that we would just simply recommend that they become part of the CRV program. So there were also added some clarifications, sources of data, moved some things around that were really background but
Can we
same
start at
language.
the beginning and, I'm sorry, and stop moving the screen. I'm starting to say, if we could just pause there and then you just explain the overview and then we'll go through paragraph by paragraph. 'cause there's quite a lot of-
Okay. The changes that you're seeing here were already in the document. They were moved into the background section. They were actually kind of mixed into part of the discussion later on, and then we footnoted those. So.
Okay, so why don't we go through this? And I think Commissioner Schneider, did you have a comment?
Let me loop back when we're done reading everything.
Okay, no problem.
It's more adding wine bottles to CRV goes back to the loss of the bottle reuse industry.
Well, and I can highlight that I'm hearing from a lot of people that they are not able to get enough glass right now, and the wine industry is even having trouble getting bottles to bottle their wine. So I think there may be room for discussion now that we really need to get this glass back. So do you want to go paragraph by paragraph and go through this and we can finalize it and then vote?
Yeah, so as I said, the changes you're seeing now were moved language that was previously in the document to make it read better.
Okay,
And
so why
then-
don't we read it paragraph by paragraph so we can follow and really just agree
Okay,
that.
I'm getting confused. I thought you're looking at a paragraph.
Okay, so we'll just read it and then we'll accept changes as everybody's okay with them and we go through them. Unless,
Yeah, that doesn't work on this document because we're looking at a track changes document, not the actual final.
I see.
So I can't edit live on this one. So I'm just reading and assuming all these edits are good, and then I'd have to jump back to the other one. So California manufacturers of new glass containers must use at least 35% post-consumer recycled glass or 25% if the color is colored. There's little use of mixed recycled glass because of the inconsistent color. Likewise, fiberglass insulation manufacturers must use at least 30% post-consumer glass. In recent years, the two industries in California have used more than 700,000 tons of cullet annually. California bottles were 47.9% recycled content in 2019, exceeding the statutory standards. California glass bottle manufacturers can use more source-separated recycled glass to exceed mandates and meet demand. According to the Glass Packaging Institute, glass returned via California's container deposit system is 98% usable in furnaces, while curbside glass varies from 30% to 40% residual contamination.
Let's stop there. Anybody that has any comments or concerns about any of that language? And thank you for citing the source of the data because that's a pretty big, that's an important number. That 98% is collected and the deposit program is usable while 30 to 40% is residual contamination from curbside. I did not know that until I read this.
I'm tempted to shift that to 60 to 70% usable, so at least we're using the similar comparison.
I thought that too. I had to switch it in my head, so that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I use the language directly from the Google Doc. It's the same meaning, so that's fine.
Could we say 2% contamination for the container deposit system?
Either way, I mean, it's all the same meaning.
Yeah, it's
Right.
either contamination or the other. So, so no, I would say 2% unusable.
2%.
And instead of saying usable, say just unusable. Well, unusable in, didn't it say kilns or something or
All
furnaces?
curbside. There we go.
And furnaces, yeah, okay. Unusable in furnaces. I wouldn't say in material. In furnaces, it was very specific. Thank you. While curbside glass goes from 30 to 40%. So residual contamination, meaning it's unusable in a furnace.
We'll add unusable.
Yeah.
Well, it's unusable in furnaces. So,
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, it's all in the context. So.
Well, my dad always told me, if it can be misunderstood, it will be. So just, we have to be crystal clear.
Yeah, there's a link to the source.
Okay. That'll work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Should I read it one more time just to make sure? According to the Glass Packaging Institute, glass returned via California's container deposit system delivers about 2% unusable material for furnaces. While curbside glass varies from 30% to 40% residual contamination, unusable.
Okay.
All right. Reading on. Imported glass bottles are not required to comply with California's recycled content standard. Unfilled reports of glass bottles manufactured unfilled imports of glass bottles manufactured outside of California in 2020 represented nearly 30% of all glass container domestic shipments, roughly 7 billion empty glass containers from 70 to 80 countries, most with no accessible data on recycled content levels. Since they are not manufactured in California, these imports do not fall under the state's minimum content requirement and place California bottle manufacturers at a competitive disadvantage.
That's good. Is there anybody that has comments on this?
Okay.
Great.
Wine and spirits have never been included in the California Bottle Bill Redemption Program. However, they are included in other states' recycling deposit programs, curbside and commercial collection. Wine and spirits have received the benefits of curbside collection programs, able to claim high recyclability without helping the program costs that are passed on to consumers. The scrap value for curbside recycled glass does not cover collection and processing costs. Approximately 60% of curbside glass containers is non-CRV. These costs have been passed on to the consumers and the ratepayers. The financial burden materials
I guess
recovery.
we could say 60% of glass containers are non-CRV.
Yeah.
Hey, Ted, and you read that able to onto consumers without the and it sounded better. So you might want to take out the.
I'm sorry, where are we?
Just up, right there in the red line.
Yeah.
Place that are passed on to consumers. You read it that way and you didn't read the so it sounded better without the So
yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Anything else on that one? The financial burden to materials recovery facilities is high due to breakage, very high due to breakage, process loss, equipment wear and tear, damage, and material cross-contamination. Secondary processing is a prerequisite to make marketable material, adding additional MRF costs. California glass recyclers have seen a net decrease of total glass recycling in the past 10 years, specifically a decrease of color-separated glass from recycling centers over the past 5 years, with an increase in curbside mixed glass. Glass is highly recycled. I'm sorry, anything on that one?
I'm sorry, Ted. Is there a data source for that fact?
Jeff, I think you have that one.
I mean, it would be the Cal. Let's make sure. It would be the CalRecycle annual data reports that would show recycling center glass volume going down and curbside glass volume going up.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're citing sources when we make statements that are driving.
And if I could ask, Nick, if you could send me a link to that thing, I'll make sure that when we're done, we get a footnote on it.
And CalRecycle, there has a public comment on this glass recycling. If you could please read it.
Yes, excuse me. That public comment is from Scott DeFife from the Glass Packaging Institute. and they say, I believe those numbers from our GPI org are not specific to California. Those are national. In California, there is CRV glass that is much more contaminated than other states due to the use of curbside collection for CRV glass.
Okay, and I would ask them to, if you have, well, I guess we should be clear. This is why I want to cite the data sources, because if we're citing national data and California's situation is different, it might change our policy decisions. So we really should state this very clearly. If the data is national.
Or could you reread that? I think he said California is dirtier than.
Maybe he did say that, but again, we need data. Where is the source of that? Outside of Glass Packaging Institute, is there a report they could send us or?
Yeah, I thought the numbers came from the presentation that he made. So.
Oh, okay. So I would just, I think, I just want to make sure this has, okay, Commissioner Kalpakoff, go ahead.
Thank you, Heidi. You know, the concept of this adding wine and spirits to the beverage container CRV program is great. I don't want to muddy the waters, or maybe we already did with so much data and things that I'm hearing that it may not be the right data. It's national data. You know, do we need? Let me ask you this question: do we need to assume, or it seems like we're assuming a lot of different percentages of contamination? What's in California CRV? Can this thing be streamlined just to add it in there without you know?
Yeah,
Too much background.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if it's necessary. We know there's a problem, but it seems like it's getting really complicated. And as we add more to this policy, it seems like it's getting muddier a little bit. That's just my comment.
Thank you. And we are out of time on this too, so we really don't have time to really debate any more data. And I was thinking the same thing. If the focus is adding, you know, these bottles to the CRV program, the data about contamination, I'm not sure is what's making the case for it. The data regarding, you know, we want to get it in because it's a lot of glass being lost, but the contamination thing, I don't know, unless we're driving.
Well, it's the, you know, it's the contamination in curbside that makes it unusable in furnaces. I think that's the point. But if Scott DeFife is saying the numbers are national, and you know, we can fix that, and, or go ahead and remove it.
Well, we have one more comment.
Contamination is important, so we need to at least acknowledge that contamination in curbside programs is far greater than deposit returns, and that the curbside glass is largely unusable.
Well, that's not true. And there's not a MRF in California that's having a problem getting rid of their recycled glass right now either. So I mean, you can mention that too if you're going to mention that.
Yeah, no, it's a higher percentage, and I think and you know, I don't know how we want to handle this, but my recollection of the presentation to the Market Development Committee was that there's a high demand for deposit glass to make back into bottles, and a far lesser demand for curbside sorted glass for bottle manufacturing.
Okay, we have a public comment from the Glass Recycling Institute. I'd like to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Yes, this is another public comment from Scott DeFife from the Glass Packaging Institute, and it says, we would argue that the cost to MRFs for glass processing would be far less if they had better glass equipment or some sort of requirement to meet a standard. And the entire citations for the flow of glass material in curbside going up is a direct result of the closure of the redemption centers, which disproportionately affects glass because the glass is not picked up by the scavenger economy. California is the only state with a CRV that allows redemption glass to be picked up curbside, which diminishes the value of the glass by pushing it through the most inefficient way to move the glass.
Thank you. I think this is yeah, I think if we focus on just adding glass to the program, the wine and spirits, and not focus on all this data about contamination unless there is a reason to do it.
No, you can take out that last sentence on the first page if you like.
I think we have agreement on the general concept of the policy. What we're not agreeing is on the data. And we don't have time to really hammer it out today. And I would invite the Glass Packaging Institute to please email us any data or post it in the public comments that you would like us to have.
Yeah, I think we'd love to have their input, Mr. Donlevy.
Yeah. Commissioner Donlevy?
Yeah, I think we're arguing over the data I think we're all agreeing that it's relatively accurate. It's whether it's a national level or state level. Yes, curbside programs can move their glass, but they're paying for it. They're paying to get rid of it. So if we're arguing over data that's going to delay this policy moving forward, just pull the reference to the data out. I think it's indisputable that the additional glass, the wine and spirits, going into the curbside programs increases the costs of processing, increases maintenance costs, and it's a cost that's ultimately passed through to the consumers and ratepayers. I mean, I think it's time that this policy get moved forward.
Yeah, we should probably stop jumping around on this because I'm having a hard time tracking. Let's go and figure out what to remove so we can get agreement on this policy. Do you have a suggestion, Commissioner Donlevy? What to remove?
I mean, if it's a dispute between 30 and 40% residual, pull that out. If that's what is causing the discomfort, pull that out. That the buyback glass, nobody's questioning that it's 98% recoverable.
Okay, so we're going to take that section out right there, that sentence that says according to the Glass Packaging Institute.
I thought just the last.
See, I'm not uncomfortable with that.
Okay,
I'm not uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. All right, fine. We're fine. All right, so California's container deposit system is 98% usable in furnaces. Glass return via California's container deposit system is 98% usable in furnaces. All right. So is that okay with Commissioner Kapikoff? Was that the part that, was there more that you wanted out?
You know, I agree with Jeff that you know, there's a cost to recycle the glass through MRFs, and it is borne by the ratepayers. That's a better, I think. I would just rather, if we're going to send this as a policy recommendation to the ledge, I just want to be accurate, and if it's being less, or if it's not using the facts that may be disputable, then it'd be easier to say that we do know that there's a cost for it. They're not in the system right now. It's been, you know, a ratepayer kind of borne subsidy of MRFs and so on and so forth. But I just don't like the using things I can't back up in this policy, if that makes sense.
I think Commissioner Ward just added an add there to try and get to a generalization that says though contamination in curbside glass is significantly higher. Is there agreement that it's significantly higher than 2% that's collected through the CRV program? Is that accurate? Yeah? Okay, and yeah. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. So maybe this is the way we frame it. It's much more general. Okay, very good. All right, I see a lot of thumbs up. Thank you, Commissioner. So I think we've settled that part, so we should keep going. Is there anything in this paragraph that we wanted to remove, or is this the unfilled imports? This is all very interesting to me.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm now reading this, Jeff. Is it unfilled? It says unfilled imports. Go back up. Yeah, unfilled imports of glass bottles manufactured outside of California. I'm not sure that it's outside of California. So it's unfilled imports of glass bottles. I mean, it's accurate, but it's probably unnecessary. So that's better. I feel better with it.
Okay, so now
I get that national figure, and so it's really good.
unfilled imports of glass bottles in 2020 represented nearly 30% of all glass container domestic shipments, most with no accessible data on recycled content levels. Is everybody okay with that piece of data? Okay, I see nodding. Okay, so since they are not manufactured in California, these imports do not fall under the state's minimum content requirement and place California's bottle manufacturers at a competitive disadvantage. Are we all in agreement on that? Sounds reasonable. Okay, very good. So now we can move down to the wine and spirits paragraph. So wine and spirits have never been included in the California Bottle Bill Redemption Program. However, they are included in the other states' programs. I think we all agree on that. Wine and spirits have received the benefits. So this is down to data. Approximately 60% of curbside glass containers are non-CRV. Does everybody agree with that? Don't know. Is there anybody who, I don't know that to be true. Is there a data source on this?
Commissioner Don Levy, you have a data source in it? Not hearing him.
I'm not hearing him either.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's from the commingle rate study.
Well, then we should say that. I guess I just really want to be careful. But again, we're on the fly. Do we actually have that link, and can we do this accurately, Commissioner Don Levy? 60% of curbside glass containers are non-CRV?
Correct. The commingled rate for the statewide rate for curbside glass is 39 point something percent. It's just under 40%.
Okay, so why don't you?
We can provide a data source or remove.
That's right. Yeah, because we'll leave this in yellow, and if we don't get an accurate data source from you by the close of business, then we're just going to remove this part. How about we do that? Because we just have to have this cited. So if you could send that link to Commissioner Ward, and he and I will.
It's the CRV segregated and commingled rates that.
Yep. We just send the link. It'd be great because we're very busy and we don't have time to hunt it all down. Okay, these costs have been passed on to the consumers and the ratepayers. Okay, I think we agreed on that. The financial burden of material recovery facilities is very high. I think we went through this. California glass recyclers have seen a net decrease of total glass recycling in the past 10 years. And this was, I didn't hear anybody disagreeing on this, but again, I don't see data source on this. Decrease of color separated glass from recycling centers over the past 5 years with an increase in curbside mixed glass. Do we have a data source for this one as well?
That was the earlier, that was the first time you asked for a data source. It's the same, it's a repeat of what was up above. So.
Okay, so we'll just repeat the citation.
On that one, I just, I read it, and I know when you guys read it a couple times. I just, would want to understand that there's a net decrease in total glass recycling. In our programs, we see a lot of glass, right? Different types of glass in the recycling containers. I don't know if we've seen a decrease of that. So I'd be interested on that one specifically. Definitely, we should look up for a data source of what a decrease is. A specific color? Is it a specific item that they're looking at that's been quoted here versus overall volumes of glass?
Okay, so I would ask that Commissioner Don Levy, you work with Commissioner Oseguera and agree on the data source, and that the data otherwise will remove this sentence.
If I can show my screen.
Can you just send the link maybe and have, I
just want to make sure this is the correct one since you, if I could show my screen real quickly.
Okay.
Just anecdotally, there should be a correlation between the closure of redemption centers and the reduction in CRV glass in the system. So there's got to be a correlation there.
Yeah, I agree. There's different product types coming out now that glass may not be the mostly used, material type as well, which could affect the rates.
So here's the 3942 CRV, oops, that's the curbside program table. And this is California recycling program rates, January 1, 2021. Commissioner Donlevy, this is what you were referring to.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll put the link in the chat.
And then as a reference to the decrease in overall glass, we had a representative from Strategic Materials, Paul Faraday. He presented at the recycling subcommittee, and he stated that there's been a net decrease in glass recovery going through their system, and they're the primary glass beneficiation company in California. So we've had what I would consider expert state and present information that showed that there was a decrease in glass. And it's a correlation between loss of redemption centers, and as Commissioner Kalpikoff indicated, it could be a transition from glass to plastic, which is lighter and more stable for shipment.
Okay, well, let's get back to the language and see if we can get through this and finish it. And then we've got another policy or two we've got to get through as well. All right, so we've got the data source that's coming. Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Donlevy, or somebody's going to, there we go.
Yeah, you should have the data source.
Thank you. Okay, so then California Circular Economy to help increase recycling, create jobs, reduce energy consumption, carbon dioxide emissions, and prevent landfilling of highly recyclable and valuable material. Purpose. So the purpose of this policy addresses two issues. Wine and spirits are not part. Okay, I can't. There we go. So got that in there. Okay, so if you could go to the top, I'm sorry, just skipped over. Yeah, purpose, perfect. It says two issues, and then it doesn't list clearly 1 and 2, but I think the first one begins with wine and spirits are not part of California's beverage container deposit system, despite comprising 43% of the total weight of glass bottles in the state, and despite being only 23% of glass beverage bottles sold by unit count. So those are the two issues. So I would put a 1 in front of wine and spirits, and then a 2 in front of despite being only. Is that correct, Commissioner Dunleavy? The 1 and 2? Policy addresses 2 issues?
No. The second issue.
1 and 2,
Yeah.
exactly what we mean. Yeah.
No, there are 2 issues. One, wine and spirits are not a part of the beverage container system. I tried to number these, and I was having trouble getting.
Well, then we need to be clear ourselves. Yeah.
Now, if I could finish. So if you go, take the 2 off, it's not there. That's not the 2. Scroll down.
You scrolled too far?
Yeah, okay. We're missing the second point is the minimum content for imported bottles. So,
Where is it in the purpose?
yeah, shoot.
Let me see if it's in the other one. I'm sorry about this. Sorry.
I saw it.
Addresses 2 issues. Here we are. And I don't see what the second one is.
Yeah. I'll put that in the text. I dropped it.
Okay. So.
Well, okay. So we'll start with the first policy.
The second one is for bottles sold in California. We moved language around and it got dropped.
Yeah, that's why we do this, just to make sure it's all right. Okay, so this policy addresses two issues. One, wine and spirits are not part of California's beverage container deposit program despite comprising 43%. Now this data, where is this coming from? That's 43 and 23%.
Commissioner Davis, do you have that one?
I don't think that was mine.
Okay, well, we're going to pull data out if we can't cite sources because we have to be right on this. So somebody will get us data like today, close the business, please, and then we can finish this and get it out. And then two, so the second policy, can you go back up, please? Thanks. The two, the recycled content of imported bottles cannot be verified. This exclusion means that consumers lack opportunities to recycle glass through buyback centers, that MRFs are denied revenue for non-deposit glass that is recovered, and that the high-quality redemption glass excludes wine and spirits, period, I think, yeah. Is that correct then, Commissioner Donlevy and Davis?
Yeah, that's the second issue.
Okay, great. Yeah, good. I'm glad we got that done. Next paragraph. So the continued exclusion of wine and spirits in California's container redemption value program. Is this the first time we're actually abbreviating this?
CRV.
It seems like we've been saying CRV and we need to make sure it's abbreviated way up higher because I think we've said this before. Or maybe we haven't.
Not seeing it.
Okay. Very good. It seems like we would have said it by now. Oh, there
Yeah,
CRV.
there it is. I saw it.
Only the commission came with an editor, right? Okay. Good, so now we can abbreviate CRV there. Deters higher bottle recycled content and depresses value by pushing glass containers to MRF processing that might otherwise be recovered at available redemption and recycling centers. Does everybody agree with that? I just want to make sure if anybody doesn't, please speak up now because we're going to finalize this policy. Okay, next sentence beginning with Connecticut adopted.
Can you just wait for that second? I mean, I just want to.
Sure, absolutely.
The word pushing.
By pushing glass containers to MRF processing. Continued exclusion of wine.
I mean, if we're gonna make assumptions, we might make an assumption that adding wine and spirits to the CRV program would incentivize MRFs to add, technology to clean the glass as well, and a cleaner product to get less contamination going to the, the glass manufacturers. We're gonna make assumptions.
I get nervous about assumptions because what
You too. It's already in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is additive.
We delete that one?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so then we'll go on to Connecticut adopted SB 1037 in 2021 requiring that wine and liquor manufacturers and distributors enter into agreements to collect and recycle 80% of containers sold in the state by 2023 or be included in the state's existing beverage container recycling program. So basically we're saying here there's a precedent already for this.
Well, it's just an aside that Connecticut took a different approach. So it's more on the background side. We're not proposing this. This was language that was in there.
This is under the proposal section, correct?
No, it's background still.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see all the headers, so okay, good.
Don't we already have in the body that most states have a CRV program for glass or for wine and spirits?
Yes.
Isn't it already up in the beginning?
Yeah.
I would recommend taking this out.
Because this is just saying that other states have had bottle bills that didn't have wine and liquor, and they're setting a precedent of getting agreements that if they don't hit 80%, they're going to be out.
Connecticut's taking a different approach. I think Commissioner Donlevy, there's only a couple states that have wine and liquor in their deposit system. So we're not the only one.
I don't mind leaving it because it's a fact, but I'm not sure how helpful it is. But anybody else have a thought on that? Do you want to take it out or leave it? I mean, we just need to get this done for today. If you'd like it removed, Commissioner Kavikoff, I'm fine with it. I don't see anybody else commenting.
I'm going to go back up top to find out what.
Okay, so we'll go back to that section. If somebody wants to remove it, we'll go ahead and pull it out. So the next paragraph is GPI published its Circular Future for Glass, a 10-year roadmap on Earth Day of 2021. The roadmap includes the following solution to drive collection. Quote, partner with CPG companies, retailers, and other manufacturers across the value chain to set up a private sector run deposit return schemes for glass, plastics, and other materials. Now, so there's no context for these two comments as to why we're sharing them in the background. Is there any context, Commissioner Donlevy, as to why?
Just reference that Connecticut is looking at including wine and spirits, and GPI sees wine and spirits and separate collection programs is an option for the future. I mean, if we're going to recover more glass, we have to have better run programs, including wine and spirits in the program. The GPI is referencing a separate collection program, but we've deleted that from this proposal.
So I'm wondering if we have a lead-in sentence to these two paragraphs saying, you know, the following two paragraphs highlight, you know, information that's supporting.
There are alternatives for wine and spirit collection being explored, and then something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's many states that have eliminated the collection of glass in their curbside programs altogether because it's not economically viable. The only reason it's viable in California is the amount of CRV and processing payments that the curbside programs receive basically pays for the wine and spirits to be in the program.
You know, I like to comment on open-ended comments like those made just by the commissioner. Some of those states eliminated those programs because they weren't funded, and they were funded only by individual ratepayers. And so the system in California is very different than in those states. So when making broad statements like that, we have to also dive deeper into what the system looks like, which is very different in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we're just saying as the commission, we want to add wine and spirits. I'm not sure, because if we include some things and not others, then it's what are we not including? I'm wondering if we just take these two paragraphs out. I'm not sure they're super additive.
I totally agree with you, Heidi. It complicates the issue.
Yeah, and they're slowing us down. So I would move that we pull them out unless somebody opposes that. Okay. I also want to just bring up, it might be in here, but the NIPS, I know, are becoming a gigantic problem. I was just in DC last week talking about it with some other states. There's little containers that are like one-shot drinks, and a lot of them are in plastic now. They used to be in glass.
They're included in the...
Okay, good, because they're a huge litter problem now. All right, very good. So we'll just go on to read the proposal. In lieu of an industry-operated and funded collection system, wine and spirits should be included in California's current beverage container redemption program.
You can take that first clause out. That was a leftover from the time.
So basically, the proposal is that wine and spirits should be added. We've got an extra space after should. Included in California's current beverage container redemption program. We all agree with that? Okay. Next one, inclusion of wine and spirits in the CRV program. Do we just want to keep saying CRV instead of current beverage redemption? Just say CRV? Okay, so the first sentence, let's just change that, including California's current CRV program. The inclusion of wine and spirits in the CRV program is an obvious solution to improving post-consumer glass quality and supply and increasing the recycling of other containers, including aluminum glass bottles containing and plastic bottles containing wine and spirits.
Ted, you should say what CRV means after current CRV in that first proposal.
We've already abbreviated it though.
On top somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.